I have no professional training.
Hello.
Hello, this is Universal Discourse. Yeah, Universal Discourse, excuse me. My name is Benjamin Cleveland, and this is my co-host.
Geraldo.
I have no professional training.
Hello, Geraldo. How are you doing today?
Pretty good today. I just finished a big old clean up of my apartment and I'm feeling fresh and clean myself.
That's good, Geraldo. Why am I talking like this? I always start off with a radio voice whenever we...
Welcome to the Fogs.
This is 105 FM, Universal Discourse. I might have some copyright issues with that.
So, what I did like was the way you spelled out your name last time, so can you do that again?
Oh, yeah, sure. Benjamin Cleveland. Benjamin Cleveland on here. I actually, I overanalyzed that part that we did last time.
Yeah.
When we say last time, we
should
had a bit of an issue last time.
We did. I fired myself as sound engineer as I lost the file when I got home.
I have no professional training.
And, well, I rehired myself today, so let's try again.
Last week I wasn't even mad, actually. I just thought about different inspirational quotes that I've heard, that whenever you start something off, or you usually have setbacks, things that happen that you didn't foresee coming. And so I was just like, you know what? We needed a trial run. So last week was just that, and now we get a fresh start. Clearly you can see this is magically and intensely scripted. So I was sitting in my bed the other night.
Yes.
And my head doesn't usually go to this place, but it's interesting how different situations and different topics can have a psychological effect on you. And Jeff and I had been talking... Oh, sorry, Geraldo. Geraldo and I had been talking about some paranormal experiences, mainly that he'd had. I don't really think I've had any. I assumed that I might have. But anyways, I was laying in bed, and I started thinking about this slender man that Jeff had been talking about, this wavy apparition that he had seen at work one night, and I started kind of freaking out, and I was like, Ben, you need to talk yourself down from this. And eventually I had to get to sleep, but I did, like, I had that impulse to check underneath the bed.
You did it.
What?
Did you check?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I lied. I actually didn't. That's a lie.
Oh.
Yeah, I just sat there and I was like, if I check under the bed, I'll lose my dignity, so.
That's maybe true.
Yeah. Jeff, what happened with the Slender Man at George Street?
There was this particular boy, and he had a terrible experience in his bedroom where he thought he saw the Slender Man. And of course he had been researching online about this Slender Man and hearing conversations at school, so we didn't buy into it too much at first, until one of the staff were actually in the room with him, reading him a story and going to bed, and the boy and the staff both saw a figure in the corner of the room, a dark figure, sort of like a shadow man with no face, and the staff kind of got very panicked and tried to calm down the boy and say it was nothing, because then it sort of disappeared as those things seem to do. And the boy didn't believe her, and she said, no, it was just Patty, who was the shift partner, who was out in the other room.
Okay.
And the boy started screaming, "It wasn't Patty! Patty has a face! Patty has a face that had no face!" And she got so scared she ran out of the room and left him because she knew he was telling the truth.
He was actually screaming?
He was screaming, "Patty has a face!"
Did she continue her employment
He was
after
like
that?
an 8-year-old boy. Can you imagine?
That's terrifying.
She didn't stay too much longer, to be honest. But I heard the story and I thought I was suspicious about it because I'll admit the staff who it happened to was one of the ones who would be telling stories and playing pranks. So I wasn't buying into it until this one summer day. I came to work and it was the middle of the day. I wasn't in any way afraid or creeped out, and wasn't even one of those days where there was a dark energy in the house, like just a standard day. And I had a little spare time, so I went down to do the laundry. So I headed down to the basement, and I was on the ground floor where this boy's bedroom is, and I noticed it was really quiet, like just eerily quiet, because these houses are pretty loud. They typically.
Yeah.
So I thought, where is everybody? This is odd. And whatever, I think I was watching a video on my phone, and I just kind of made my way down to the basement, put the laundry in. And the basement's usually the creepy place in the house because it's really unfinished and it looks like a dungeon and it's dark and
Man, you wouldn't
damp.
want to walk down those stairs if you had any mobile issues whatsoever.
I start going back upstairs, and when I got to the top of the stairs, I noticed again, whoa, it's quiet. And I figured everyone's outside, but I just peeked around because I felt some sort of a presence or something. I don't know how to explain what happened, but
It's weird.
I peeked around the corner where the boys' bedroom was, and I, for a split second, thought I saw some sort of floating ribbony material, something that I had obviously not seen before. I couldn't identify immediately. It sort of looked like floating smoke, but it had like, it wasn't smoke usually rises or whatever. It has sort of like the properties, but this had some sort of different properties where it was just kind of like moving around, and it was very, it kind of, at first I thought, like I was trying to focus, like what is that? And I was trying to like, immediately I thought it was the boy, so I started like trying to frame the boy's shape in my head, but I couldn't. And then I noticed it sort of looked like it was leaning out, peeking around the corner, and then pulled back away into the room. And then I stood there for a minute, and it was gone. And I thought to myself, "What the hell was that?" And so then I confirmed that everyone was off the floor, and they were. And I went upstairs, and I immediately went to the staff who had the other experience with the Slender Man in that room, and I said, "I just saw something too. You got some confirmation?" Because I'm so, like, that's when I started getting freaked out.
Of course.
When I was looking at it, I wasn't scared because I wasn't expecting anything like that.
I was gonna say, like,
just
did
confused.
you scream? Like, what was your initial reaction? Just a little bit of like confusion and shock, or?
It was trying to figure out. It's hard to explain. I wish I had an analogy or just like a comparable situation. I guess it's sort of like, have you ever crashed a car or anything?
Yes, I hit 2 people.
Is that serious?
Yeah, it was 2 separate incidences, and I hit. That's a good topic, actually.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to say, like, like the other day, I kind of went into a snowbank because I was sliding on the ice. It's not like you scream. For me personally, I don't scream or yell. I just kind of like focus or something. Like I get this weird mindset, and then I get through it, and then I start getting a little scared or whatever. But at that time, that's what I was doing. I was kind of just focusing, trying to figure out what was happening.
Something to be said about being in a vulnerable position and feeling like you just feel like you're in such a dark place. There's always that argument, because we don't, like scientists, they have a lot of theories, a lot of postulations, things like that about how the human mind works, and definitely we have somewhat of a grasp on how it works in certain ways, obviously, but we really, a lot of other ways, we just don't really have a clue. So when someone talks about the paranormal, when someone talks about like near-death experiences, things of that nature, there's always that argument that our mind is so complex that it could be creating these things to give us more of like a peace of mind. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always kind of what I think. That's why I can be so skeptical of paranormal experiences or things like that. So I really want to have one for myself. Speaking about spirits, I think that there's a real lack of spiritual connection. So we're always concerning ourselves with things that don't really matter because we don't really have one thing to believe in. There's a lack of like purpose. People don't really know where to look. They feel scattered, divided, a little bit lost. You hear that all the time about people feeling empty on the inside, not really knowing how to fill that void. And I think, I'm not talking like religions or anything like that, even though that is definitely a viable option, but I think people are missing that key spiritual component or that component of belief in their lives, and so they try to fill that void with consumerism and sex and addiction and all these sorts of things. And I think that's why there's all these issues about millennials maybe lacking the motivation, or I think it's because we're definitely the generation who's most hindered by all of this noise around us with no real grounded belief in anything. There's just so much noise, so many options, so many ideas. It's hard to know where to turn. There's almost like too much choice out there, if that makes sense.
No, it does. A lot of freedom to play with and a lot of time to play with. And, well, maybe not time, I guess. I feel like I've been pretty busy in my 20s. Through all my 20s, I was always constantly working on something. But here's what I always thought about in terms of this. So I guess we're kind of talking about like a byproduct of capitalism and everything, and just sort of the culture of the society. But I think back to other generations and some of the hardships that they had to struggle through, and their reality that was much different than ours. Some of them were challenged to volunteer to go to fight in the war. Well, specifically thinking of men back in the day, to go to wars, or I mean, we can think back to the booms when there was lots of jobs and everything, but there's something about the amount of, like you said, information we have access to, and sort of the lack of a real threat. It's kind of, I mean, yeah, you could really fuck up your life and end up homeless and struggling, but it seems like it's easier for us than it was for others, and I think,
Right. It's more, I don't want to use the word exciting, but you're just really living on the edge of something, and that camaraderie that you have with people that you're going to war with, or that need for the family unit when you had your farm, or even a family company, was just totally different nowadays.
And those are old ideas. They don't play anymore because of the changing world and technology and society. That kind of man-to-man combat war, that's not, it could come back and it exists other places, but it's just not a thing anymore. Like, the world's peaceful in our turf. And then, like you're talking about, the nuclear family, that's also not for everybody, as we know. But, yeah, I guess as the grass is always greener on the other side, you think back to simpler times. But here's the thing about us, too, is we have so much time to think. Like, there's so much information, there's so much time to just think about yourself and not really about the whole. We're not very holistic. We're just always selfish, and how do we fit in?
Which ties into the whole, idea, we're physical beings. I think that we need to move. We need to be active. We need to be walking, running, lifting, all of those sorts of things. And as technology increases, there's a lack of movement. We just no longer need to really do anything in conjunction with physical activity. So we're just becoming lazy, sitting all the time.
And many people suspect the pendulum's going to swing back the other way. And maybe not the generations that are growing up now, but eventually there's going to be a forceful kind of shift based on energy and resources and things of that nature, where people are going to have to get back to the environment and back to farming and things of that, getting outside and being a part of the world around them. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and the other people that believe that could be, but I guess the alternative is that we plug into a computer and just experience life perceptions through sort of like a video game.
Man, that's definitely
Would you take that
on
option?
the cusp, I think.
Would you do it?
I don't know.
What if when you're 50 years old, they tell you, hey, you want to live a whole nother lifetime? You won't have to experience a damn thing. We're going to plug this in the back of your neck. You can choose whatever the hell you want to do.
Would at that
It's
point
going to feel real.
Would at that point our Earth be so polluted, and our day-to-day life be so unbearable, I guess, that we would want to plug into that?
So let's come back to your old wrinkly balls. You're 50 years old. You're sitting on some.
Yeah, my balls are wrinkly right now.
You're sitting on some futuristic chair, leaned back, dirty, greasy old beard because you wouldn't be able to shave. Probably bare naked. You got some nurse or some IT person that's got you plugged in.
Will Leonardo DiCaprio be there from Inception?
Leo would be long dead.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Don't forget. So you're laying back. You're in some other land. There's a nurse probably playing with your old dirty penis, raping you or something. But she's feeding you and she's keeping you alive, so you can experience this mental reality that you're in.
That's right.
Like Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger. What would you design? So Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall, he's sitting back, falling into his sleep, and she's asking him questions. What kind of girl do you like? Where do you want to go? What kind of job do you want? Let me fire some questions at you. Okay, pretend I'm the technician.
Okay.
So you're gonna go into this.
Feed me.
Okay. Do you want to be a skinny person or a fat person?
Skinny.
Do you want to be jacked?
Ripped.
What ethnicity do you want to be?
Black.
Okay. Do you want to be hetero or homosexual?
Hetero.
Okay. What do you want your relationship situation to be?
I want to be polygamous.
Okay. How many wives do you need?
6 to 10.
Okay. We can work with that.
Oh, that's awful. That's awful.
What kind of job? Or do you want a job?
I'd like to be an actor.
You know what I just thought would be really sad?
What?
Actor would be cool. It would be really sad if you went into your fictional world that you created, and then you just sat in your fictional world and played video games.
That'd be so ridiculous. It's like, I want to be a gamer, man.
Yeah.
I want to be a
I want
gamer.
to be a professional gamer. Staring at a screen while you're in your made-up world.
I'd like to play Grand Theft Auto 40.
Okay, come back to an actor.
Yes.
What kind of actor? Do you want to be serious or
Drama.
comedic?
Oh yeah, all drama.
Drama.
Yep.
Really?
Oh yeah. I want to be a good crier.
So you want to win the Academy Award? Or do you want to get nominated a few times and not win, and then finally get your big win, like pull a Robin Williams kind of thing?
I would want some adversity to my life. Because I feel like without adversity,
Oh, of course.
it takes away from the meaning of life. So I definitely want some adversity. So I would like Justin Bieber to get Best Actor before me 3 times.
He's probably your best friend too in this world, in this
Oh
fictional
God,
world.
maybe. I guess I can't really. Well, I suppose you can control that. So
Yeah.
okay, sure. Yeah.
Do you think your mind would turn against you and you would start sabotaging this fictional, supposedly euphoric world?
Imagine if it was just like... So am I aware of what's going on? Like, am I aware that I talk to you when I go into this fictional world?
I don't think that's good for you to know that you're in a trance.
I don't think so either. So perhaps, man, things would be too perfect. Like this aligns with...
Sort of like Inception, right? Where his ex-wife or whatever keeps coming in and interfering with their project because the subconscious is trying to defeat the purpose. Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. That French lady?
Yeah, that's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Who was lost in limbo. And
She the one on the windowsill? Doesn't she
Yeah.
like jump off the window or something
Yeah.
like that? Jump off the window. Is
Alan
that a thing?
Page is-
Jump off the ledge of the window?
right. And Alan Page is trying to figure out what the hell's going on because he won't share. But
Mm.
so it's that kind of situation where maybe your own subconscious and your own insecurities can still creep in and spoil it for you.
Right.
Hmm.
It's an interesting scenario to think about. I definitely, after a certain age, I would definitely indulge in that. So anyway, I kind of wanted to bring up that whole topic of me like hitting people with my car.
Is it depressing?
No, it's not depressing.
Did anyone die?
No.
Good.
Actually, in my opinion, I saved both their lives by the way I was driving.
You're a hero.
I am.
Hey!
Oh.
Look at this guy.
There's a drunk man with no pants on who's alive because of me,
What?
and a young girl.
He had no pants on?
Nope.
That
Sorry,
was that
with just pants on. Okay, so anyways, I'll get into this. Here's the picture, man. It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. Sorry, that rhymed. I just wanted to put the old man in there.
Yeah.
It's raining, it's pouring. I'm driving my dad's old Pulsar, it's a Nissan Pulsar. It's a small white car.
Yep.
Kind of cool. Anyways, I'm driving it, and I come off of the Westmoreland Street Bridge. And when you come off of it, at least this particular route, you end up going onto like a 4-lane highway type deal. And I'm coming on to the north side, going onto this 4-lane thing, coming up to Main Street, I guess Union Street down there. And I'm looking down at my radio, trying to change the song, and I look up, and all of a sudden there was this man with nothing on but gray sweatpants, and I think he had flip-flops on.
What time
maybe.
of day?
This would have been at night,
Oh.
so it would have been like the visibility would not have been good at all. Anyway, so I slam on the brakes, and this guy hits the front of my car, slides off of the hood, like off the left side of the hood from my perspective to his right, and then he gets up and he staggers back maybe 10 steps, and he just starts kind of hovering there, standing. He can still stand, thank God. And he's kind of like moving back and forth as if he doesn't quite know what happened. He's looking at me like a deer in the headlights after I had already hit him. And all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to fucking sue you, boy. And here I am. I'm a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like listening to this.
I fucked it up. I'm going to lose my license.
That's what I thought. It's my fault. And all of a sudden I hear, and his wife or whomever, his girlfriend, comes running out of his house that he apparently came from.
Okay.
And I pointed to the house to a friend later on that week, and he told me it was a drug house. Anyway, that's speculation. This guy was kind of evidence, though. And so both of them end up coming to my window, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna get clocked in the head. And she's like, "What do you got for money?"
Oh my God!
And I was like, "Oh my God!" So they're trying to like.
Do you think they did it on purpose?
What? I don't know. That's a good question.
Sounds like they were prepared.
Maybe. So, anyways, I look into my wallet, and I all I have is a 10 sheet, and to me at the time that is God's money.
It's worth $10.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, I'm like, okay, this is worth it. And so I give them the $10, and then they literally just leave.
Oh my God.
And then I drove back to my house thinking that I was going to get a call from the cops, but later on I kind of found out that, okay, that might not have been my fault. Even though I was looking at the CD player, but it was literally for an instant, and then all of a sudden this...
Was he on the crosswalk?
No.
He's just on the street.
Yep.
Yeah, they did it on purpose.
And he was walking in the direction of the liquor store.
They did it on purpose.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The wife was ready to come out and...
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that, Jeff.
They played you.
Geraldo.
What the fuck? Okay. Anyways. Huh? Huh?
Should we cut it off?
Should we do it? Ben's signaling to me that he's either going to kill me or we should cut this. Let's cut it off!
What is this, man? What is this? It's like, why would a finger across your neck be... Anyway, never mind.
Well, they used to cut people's heads off a lot, I guess.
That guy on Guardians of the Galaxy, remember that? He was making fun of that.
Thanks for listening if you listened. If not, we just did it for our own peace of mind.
Universal Discourse.
We gotta work on that song still.
Did that sound like the girl who's with the...
What song should we play there?
She bangs, oh baby, when she moves, I go crazy.
Alright, so I went to Thailand, and I set up a Tinder account, and I had more interest in me than I ever had in my life. In Asia, if you're a white male, you definitely have a certain level of status over there. And so I started getting all these matches, and there was one girl who I wanted to hang out with. She had some fairly revealing photos, and I was like, how are you now? So anyways, over there, basically, you just gotta be like, hello, how are you? Good, how are you? Oh, not bad. What's up? Want to hang out today? Yep. Okay, coffee? Boom. Done. Here, you have to create some story about, like, a genie named Tim and how he gave you 3 wishes.
You gotta be real fascinating.
Yeah, you just gotta... Oh, God. Trying to have a 2-sided conversation is like finding a unicorn in Canada. When you do, boom. Okay, anyways, back to the story in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, so... On this particular occasion, I asked her to go to the movies, and she said yes. So I walked down the street and headed up this escalator, and finally, I bought the tickets first, and then I just kind of waited there for her to show up. And as soon as I saw her, I knew, Jeff. I just knew, man, just by the way that she walked.
You loved her.
She was a lady boy.
Oh.
So over there, they call transgendered people lady boys. So anyways, I knew right away. I was like, oh God. And they have a way of taking photos of themselves and selfies, much like a lot of people do here. Sure. To make themselves just not look like themselves. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. I saw this girl and I was like, oh!
Were you you,
internally.
Did you have an orgasm?
Something like that. I did, actually. I was like, oh, man. So anyways, I knew right away just by the masculine way that she walked, which was fine. Like, I'm just not into transgendered people, and I found it a little bit irritating that she wouldn't have revealed that to me beforehand. So I bought us some pop and some popcorn. Didn't say anything right away. It was really awkward. And I just kept self-talking to myself. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick this out. I'm going to be a gentleman. And then we're going to leave, and I never have to see her again.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, we get some food into us. We sit in the theater, and she's putting her hand on my leg, and there's this weird energy between us. Like, I just know. And I'm like, she puts her hand on my leg, and once again, man, internally, I was like,
Is that good or bad?
yeah, no, that's bad.
Oh, okay.
That's the panic grunting.
I see.
Yeah. And so anyways, I'm starting to panic. I'm like, I can't spend 2 hours like this. The energy is just too divided.
Yeah.
And I can tell that she sort of knows that I know, and she's really trying to dig her heels in, no pun intended, and try to keep me there. So I'm like, oh, you know what, miss, I kind of got to pee. So I get up to pee, and then I just bolt out of the hotel. I'm just cruising down every escalator. Did I handle it in the best way? Absolutely not. I should have just told her straight up that I'm just not interested, and I should have just sat with a movie with her. But anyway, needless to say, I was pretty straight up after that, asking the girls who, before going on a date with them, like, are you a lady boy? And some of them took offense to me asking, of course. But the general rule of thumb in Thailand when you're swiping on Tinder is be weary or be cautious with the hottest women.